Good evening and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey, and streaming live on SHR Media. So I had to call a little bit of an audible today. My guest was supposed to be Dustin Lawson, former White House writer, but I could not get in touch with him. And Diante Johnson, president of Black Conservative Federation and also member of the Black Voices for Trump Advisory Board, graciously agreed to be my guest today at the last minute. So I'm excited that he's going to be here in about another 10 to 20 minutes. So before I get to him, and that should be fun. I haven't talked to Diante on air in a long time. But before I get to that, I posted earlier that I had a rant coming on, and I'm telling you, I have been first of all, I'm ultimately just pissed off about, excuse my ugly language, but really pissed off about the impeachment. Let's just start with that. Let's just start with them impeaching them and it being such an emergency that they couldn't give President Trump due process. And then she decides that she's going to hold on. This is Speaker Pelosi decides that she's going to actually hold on to the articles of impeachment over the winter break. Like, what is that? That's absolutely ridiculous. But let's just start with me being angry about that. And that has of course, fired me up on social media. And of course, I've been posting like a raving lunatic on social media about this and really kind of making fun of the impeachment because it is so ridiculous. And as Amos Coates and the Facey Chat pointed out, he actually has not been impeached yet, because technically and legally, in order for him to officially and legally be impeached, the articles of impeachment have to be sent to the Senate. I have also made a point of making fun of everyone, all the uninformed voters that I'm aware of that thought that he got fired, that he was no longer going to be president, and the like. So I just find that to be super hilarious. But that is not what I am upset about. You know what I'm upset about? Over the past week, I've been asked regularly about why I support President Trump, as if it is so perplexing. I had this, and let me just say this: there's only a certain kind of person that tends to ask me this question. I'm trying not to. I really don't want to generalize or stereotype people or anything like that. But it's a certain kind of person that continually asks me why I support President Trump. And they ask me in such a way where they are perturbed and irritated and agitated. Number one, what I'd like to know is, why does it concern you? Why does my vote concern you? Yes, Doug, part of the problem is I hung out with the NAACP. Doug, you're so smart. You nailed it. Doug Poss in the Facey Chat, for those of you who are listening to this as a download, my unpaid publicist. Yes, I one of the many things that I do as part of my community, and it took months for them to convince me to join. But one of the things that happened over the last couple of weeks is that I've been appointed as the political action chair for the Cape May County NAACP, so my local chapter of the NAACP. And as you may or may not know, the NAACP is a nonpartisan group. I find that on a national level that they do not act as nonpartisans. And that has been my reservation in associating myself with the NAACP to begin with. But I think some of the stuff that they do are good. There's the president of my local chapter of the NAACP, Alexander Bland. Welcome to the Facey Chat. Thank you for joining us. But that was one of my concerns, is that I do feel as though on a federal level, and on a national level, they tend to be very partisan. And I don't like the partisan stances that they tend to take. But I will say on a local level, they seem to be, Alexander Bland, number one, really trying to stick to the being nonpartisan, and I'm completely on board with that. So, Amos Coe says, I can't believe you're a member of the NAACP. I'm a member of my local chapter of the NAACP. We'll see how it works out. I'm going to give Alexander Bland, who worked very hard to get me on board, and the rest of the members of the NAACP here in my local branch, an opportunity. And I will say, in the interest of full disclosure, my senator is a member. Mike Testa, who flipped the first here in the first legislative district here in the state of New Jersey, is a member. My two assemblymen are both members. Antoine McClellan and Eric Simonson are also members. So also one of my freeholders is a member as well. The Reverend Ralph J. Chittums himself is in the Facey chat. How are you, darling? I hope you are well. Welcome, Mike, as well. So that they convinced me that I might be able to be an asset to the organization, and I hope that is the case. And I'm really excited about that relationship. We'll see what happens. But I have grown weary of. I'm just going to say it. Heck, it's my show, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this, but I've grown weary of, in particular, it just seems, and I'll just say this has been my personal experience, that a lot of Black men tend to demand an explanation as to why I am a supporter of President Donald J. Trump. And I don't feel like it's a particularly complex explanation. It is really very simple, and quite frankly, the thing that I get most tired of, the thing that I get most exhausted with is how it just seems that how can I put this nicely? That they're very emotional in their arguments. And that is just not attractive. I am really trying to be nice here, but it is just not attractive for my strong African kings to be really just like legitimately. You can see how upset they are that I'm a conservative. I've been told that I'm really, part of the problem is that I'm really in your face with it. When people are excited about something and they really believe in something and they're passionate, everybody is kind of in your face with it. But it seems to be a problem when I am in people's faces with it, because the things that President Trump is doing brings me joy. Most importantly, because, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Here is the math, the calculations. It is not that hard if you think instead of emoting. It's not that difficult. Think instead of emoting. Let's not be emotional. Let's just be thoughtful about this. What do I want? Well, what am I first and foremost before anything? I'm a Christian, right? Before, when all else fails, when it comes down to it, I'm a Christian. Every single day, I hope the Lord is searching my heart to see what's there. And ultimately on Judgment Day, that's what we're left with, right? We're left with how God feels about me and the decisions that I've made throughout my life, how God feels about my heart. And in my heart, what I want is for everything that God has in store for the earth, for the planet, and for me to come to fruition. And whatever my part is that I play in that. Okay. So when it comes down to policy, what do I want? I want religious freedom. I want the heinous practice of abortion to just go away. Here's the part that when I mention the abortion issue, here's the part that really slays me. I have to be honest. It's the same type of men who will say to me, "Oh, it's about abortion. You're a one issue voter." And then when I say to them, "Well, what do you think is the most important thing to God?" The shedding of innocent blood. Out of all this stuff, the economy, smaller governments, morality, what is God most concerned about? After his purpose for the earth, what does he find to be most heinous? The shedding of innocent blood. So when you talk about that from a policy perspective, now let's look at the candidates that we have to choose from. You have everybody on the left who believes in abortion at will. And then you have Donald J. Trump, who is pro-life. You save one innocent life, then what is the problem with voting for saving innocent life? I do not get where people's priorities are. And here's the thing that really, really, really trips me out. I would contend, I would submit to you that all the men who are always in my face about how I'm a one issue voter and how abortion's not that big of a deal, I would bet you any amount of money that none of them would dare go watch one of those videos that shows exactly what abortion is. You know why? Because they wouldn't be pro-abortion anymore. They wouldn't be pro-choice anymore. But yet and still they'll criticize me for being a quote unquote one issue voter. It's infuriating. Like I just get tired. I just get exhausted of explaining it. And then when you get into the economy, they want to say things like, somebody told me today that unemployment has always been going down. What part of 50-year low do you not get? 50-year low unemployment. Literally everything that has happened in this presidency has been historic, including low unemployment, not just low unemployment. Like, can we just forget race for 1 second? Not just low unemployment, not just low unemployment for African Americans and for Hispanics, low unemployment everywhere. Low unemployment everywhere. The stock market has been booming. Cyclically, we are way overdue for a crash, but the fundamentals are very strong. Today, even after impeachment, today, the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the 500, we're all broke records again. So what are you telling me about this president, about me not supporting this president? What reason do I have not to support this president? Some emotional reason? Like what am I? When it comes to, making decisions as to who you hire to set policy for yourself, it should be a non-emotional decision. It should be an intelligent decision. It should be a thoughtful decision, not one where you're whining. All I hear is whining. Oh my gosh, he was a bad guy. He sinned. Really? Who of us hasn't? We all have. So you're talking about he's on his third wife. Oh my gosh. It's the weakest stuff I have ever seen. And it particularly disappoints me when I see grown men doing it. It just makes me lose all respect. It's just really upsetting. Okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to breathe and take a commercial break. And when I come back, I'm going to have the one and only Diante Johnson with me. I'm going to give him a call right now and get him on the air with me. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm the business diva, Melanie Collette. Thank you so much for listening to my show. Thank you so much for watching on Facebook Live. Thank you, everybody who's in the Facey chat. I'm going to be back in a couple of minutes.
Making a living can be tough these days with so many jobs going overseas. If you love numbers and puzzles and want job security, you can become a tax specialist with an amazing 6-month tax course from Tax Mama. Operate your own tax practice locally or anywhere in the world where there are American taxpayers. It's a great way to write off your trips to visit family for months at a time. Everything you need to pass the IRS 3 special enrollment examinations is included in this course. Visit irsexams.school. And if you need more than 6 months, that's okay. Take your time. You're in the course until you pass the exams or until you unsubscribe and reject Tax Mama's emails.
We the people live in the United States of America, a republic founded upon unalienable rights, which include the rights of association and to choose. Unfortunately, certain Grinches don't believe Santa has the right to choose. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. Well, today's page from the Edwards Notebook is about a long-time Santa who was booted out and replaced, not because he did anything wrong or immoral on the job or anywhere else for that matter. Apparently, a leftist-leaning Grinch photograph of the year mall Santa.
You're on the air. Please hold.
While he was wearing a red baseball cap that showed his support for President Donald Trump's re-election in 2020. The photo was then sent to his employer, who hates Donald Trump and his America First mission. That is, Santa said. and he donned his cap after his shift at the mall, which was closed at the time. It is a shame that in a nation founded on liberty is today populated with Grinches who would fire a mall Santa for liking President Trump. Wake up, America, the Grinches and leftists could soon come after you for a choice you decide. I'm Ron Edwards. Check out theronedwards.talkspot.com for news updates and other great stuff.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, broadcasting live from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey. And my guest today is the one and only Diante Johnson. He is the president of Black Conservative Federation. He is also a member of the advisory board for Black Voices for Trump. I'm very excited to have him on the show today, especially since he saved my ample behind, but because I couldn't find my guest. So I'm very excited to introduce to you the one and only Diante Johnson. How are you, darling?
I'm doing well, Melanie. It's always a great time to save you. It's always a great time.
Well, thank you so much. Well, listen, I didn't have time to look up your bio since I just got you on air about 20 minutes ago. So if you would do my audience the pleasure of giving them a little bit about your background.
Well, you know I hate talking about myself.
Oh, yes. I know how you hate talking about yourself.
But no, I think you pretty much hit it on the main two things. From Illinois, president of the Black Conservative Federation, which has been something that I've been working on since 2016, when President Trump was candidate Trump. And we've had so much success with that. And Black Voices for Trump, we're continuing to start to, push out the word. In January, we're going to be hitting the pavement even harder. So I'm excited for all of that.
Now, I don't know if you typically, when I have a guest on the show, what happens is I have them on hold while I do the open. But because the show is a little bit, I'm flying by the seat of my pants a little bit. You probably did not get the opportunity to hear the open. So just so you might want to go back and listen to it if you get the opportunity. But what I talked about, from one of the things I talked about during the open today is that I have exhausted myself explaining to people why I am supporting President Donald Trump, and that it's been a beings of a particular ilk that tend to ask me that question. But you are a Black man. The last time I saw you, you are not one of those people.
Well, it definitely becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a lifestyle. I was home for Thanksgiving, and my family told me that I took a nap on Thanksgiving Day, and I was explaining to someone about why they should vote for Trump in my dreams. So, yeah, it definitely does become a lifestyle. It definitely does become something that you just tend to do. But, that just shows you just how this world is. And it shows you that if I was explaining it in my dreams, that means Donald Trump is probably the person that you want to vote for in 2020 because that's how good he is. That's just how good he is. But it's something that, I don't even explain to people why they should vote for Trump. I just explain to them why policies that happens under the Trump administration benefits them, and I let them do the rest of the work.
That makes a lot of sense. And I do encourage people to do their own research. I was having a conversation with someone this morning via Messenger, and I got to the point, I'm going to be honest, where I said in the conversation, I said, there's so much misinformation in your last response. Like, I don't have the time or the energy to cover it. So I said, but what I do suggest that they do, and I often suggest that my students do this when I find that they are, in my estimation, because they're children, victims of the mainstream media, I tell them that they should look it up for themselves. One of the things that I always recommend is that they go to whitehouse.gov. Whitehouse.gov, the legislation section will give you all the memos, the legislation, and the executive orders, and it will explain everything that President Trump has signed. He's got so much done over the past 3 years. It is hard to keep track. Do you find
It is. I'm tired of. I'm kind of getting tired of winning. I'm kind of getting tired of winning because there's so much when we talk about even just HBCUs, and this is something that helps relate to the students. $360 million was allocated, and last year for HBCUs. This year in the budget, President Trump put another $404 million, and then as we saw this week, an historic win with permanently funding HBCUs, and so that's just right there with HBCUs. So much that he's done there, and then we go into opportunity zones, 9,000 opportunity zones in this country, 50 states and all of our territories that are just placed throughout the country. Opportunity zones is something that's not just for the government to give a handout, but it's something to where we have that public-private partnership. Then we talk about First Step Act, everything that's happened with First Step Act and those who have been released under the First Step Act, and we even talk about the second chance hiring to where giving felons a second chance. We then go to we talk about the tax reform, and a lot of people don't understand this, and I always tell people, and especially parents, that President Trump, he doubled the tax credit. So instead of getting $1,000 per child, you now get $2,000 per child. So there are so many things that are happening that not just benefits the rich, as many on the left likes to say, but it actually benefits all Americans.
It does, and it really... The problem that I have is that makes me really angry is when people come back with stuff like what I heard this morning was, well, the unemployment rate was already on a downward trend. Come on, man.
I'll say this. You know, the unemployment rate should be decreasing every year. It should be decreasing every year. There was a lot to, that is true. However, the economy affects that, and so if President Trump got in and pretty much messed up the entire economy, the unemployment rate would not be low. And so he does have responsibility in it. He is responsible for the reason that the unemployment rate continues to decrease. And so they want to take everything away from him. They want to take away what he's done with First Step Act. They say, oh, but what about sentencing reform? We need to give more power to the judges. No, you don't want to give more power to the judges. You're just complaining how the judges were all racist, and now you want to give more power to them because you want to talk about sentencing reform. They don't know what they really want. But what happens is that the country is under great leadership, and I think President Trump is the most impactful president for Black Americans.
I think he has been too, and I think he's one of the smartest. I read an article today. I'd love to hear what you think about it. I read an article today that said it was by a rabbi. I wish I could call his name, but the article said that the headline said Donald Trump is stupid. Everyone else is smart. Something to that effect. And the bottom line was, yeah, he's real dumb. He got elected as president against all odds, with the mainstream media against him, with, let's face it, most Republicans against him. I was against him when he was in the primary. Statistically, most Republicans were not backing him during the primary. There were 17 candidates during the primary. But we certainly got behind him once he became the candidate, and he was set up to fail. I would argue on both sides of the aisle, he was set up to fail as a primary candidate, and he managed to be smart enough to outsmart everybody. His first campaign ever, outsmarted everybody and got elected. He also just so happens to be a billionaire. But everybody else is smart and he's dumb.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I don't know how you can be a billionaire and dumb. I don't know how you can even be the president of the United States, win and beat with 15, 14 Republican candidates in the primary and be dumb. I'm not going to say this next part because you actually can beat Hillary Clinton and be dumb. But everything else, it speaks for itself. But He's outsmarted he has outsmarted the Democrat Party. He's even outsmarted the Democrats when it came to their own game. I mean, let's talk about impeachment. Impeachment, Nancy Pelosi. It's like Nancy Pelosi showed up to the fight, put the gloves on, talked a lot of smack, got in the ring. The fight, Donald Trump agreed to the fight, and she pretty much said, "You know what? Never mind."
Isn't it crazy? It's the craziest thing. I don't like. I don't understand. They talked all that junk. You know what I mean? Like Muhammad Ali talked junk the whole time.
Yeah. But no, what happened was she got into the ring and she says, wait, this ring is not how I want it to be. I want this, I want that, I want that. No, that's not how you get in the ring and you fight. So if you're gonna fight, you're not gonna partially fight. You're not gonna halfway. You are going to fight fully, and they just stopped. You just like Nancy Pelosi just represented what the Democrats do. They come up with these plans and then they don't have an end goal. They don't have an end plan. So they start and then they stop midway and then go to something else.
I gave them a lot more credit. I gave them a lot more credit than they deserved. I'm going to say that because I really thought that there was something up their sleeve, that they were being super crafty. And they have nothing. It's pretty clear that they have nothing. There's like nothing going on there.
They're not thinking strategically. And you would have think they would have learned when they made Hillary Clinton their nominee, but they still have not learned. And, they're not thinking strategically. And I don't know what it's going to take, but, as long as they continue to not think strategically, hey, we're good. I saw someone who's a Democrat make a post on Facebook and said, see, while we're focusing on impeachment, the Republicans are stacking the courts. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
Sure
you can focus on that. We have the entire Ninth Circuit now, but it's because we know what's important. We're focusing on America. We're focusing on making America great. We're focusing on that Black America will be great, that Latino America will be great, that women will be able to succeed and excel under this country like never before. That is what we're doing. That is what we're focusing on. That's what the president is focused on. He said, I'm going to put America first, and that's what he has been doing. He didn't put Paul Ryan first. He's not putting McCarthy first. He's not putting Ronald McDaniel first. He's not putting every Republican that you name first. He's putting America first. So even the people who don't even like him, he's fighting for them.
Oh, that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. He is fighting for them. And, the part that's really kind of gives me the most disdain, if you will, is the fact that there are liberals who are completely fooled by what is going on. They're completely fooled. Like, you had so many people on Facebook. It actually was a little bit entertaining. I'm not going to lie. You have people. I mean, I think you and I shared a bunch of posts of people who thought that he got fired, people who thought that he wasn't going to be president anymore. And
he got his pink slip.
He got his pink slip. He's out of here. And they had no idea what they were talking about. But the part about it that is sad is that Democrats rely on that low information voter. And they don't seem to get it. They rely on the fact that you don't know. They knew, matter of fact, Nancy Pelosi right now is relying on the fact that a whole bunch of folks don't know that those articles have to go to the Senate before he's actually impeached. Technically, he hasn't even been impeached.
He's just been indicted.
Yep.
And to be honest, until he goes to the Senate, Nancy Pelosi is a state's attorney or DA that has drafted some charges that is just sitting on her desk. So therefore, he hasn't been indicted yet.
Exactly. Not till it goes to the Senate. So you're sitting around thinking about this, and there's still people who are like, he's no longer president, and just waiting for him to be out of the office. One of my students said to me yesterday, I heard that this is, I hate to make fun of people, but it's just too funny. It's just an example of how people just don't know their government. Somebody said, I heard the assistant president is just religious, this real religious guy, so I don't like him either.
So it's this thing, I've shared something that someone said about the assistant president is not that, it's no better. And I'm like, since when? I mean, I can tell that you guys have been in school because you guys are confusing president for principal, but assistant president, where did that come from? want not Joe Biden. Sorry, I want Mike Pence, Vice President Mike Pence, to change his Twitter name to Assistant President. That's what I want him to do. I would if Trump was the Vice President, that's something that he would do. He would literally troll them, like, I'm the Assistant President. Like, this just shows. It just shows the level of knowledge, and these are the people who we want voting. We actually want these people voting. That's that part.
Well, the left wanted to have 16-year-olds vote. These are the kids that I'm dealing with in my classroom every day. And to hear all the stuff he hates Mexicans is another thing that I heard yesterday. What was the other thing that I heard? That he doesn't like black people at all. He's trying to send all the Africans back to Africa. So I said to the student, well, if that's the case, how come we are not in Africa? It was a black student that told me that. And I said, well, he was elected 3 years ago. Why are we not in Africa? Why have we not? Where's the ships and everything that was supposed to send us back to Africa? And then they just look at you like you're crazy. And it's just like, what are you thinking about? But it gets to what I was saying during my open.
This is our future, by the way.
Oh, good Lord. But it gets back to what I was saying about people emoting instead of thinking. And that is really my biggest problem with it, is that people are thinking strictly emotionally and they're not thinking rationally. Like how they cannot follow the bouncing ball when I try to reason with someone as to why it is that I support President Trump. And I'm like, okay, well, this is the person who's going to vote for policies that I believe in. I don't understand why that's complicated. That seems like it's really simple to me. It's like, okay, he has a job to do. The job is President of the United States. The job of that person is to be the commander in chief of our military, to sign bills into law, to take care of our economy, make sure that we have policies that are good for our economy, and his main job is to uphold the Constitution. That's his job. The Constitution that we all hold dear, that many people have not read. So when you think
if common sense was as common as it should be,
right? So now you have Hillary, or in this case, my puppy agrees with me. On the one hand, you have the left, who are all pro. They want. This is how I explained it to somebody today. They want government to be our God, and that's my biggest problem with that other side of the aisle. When it's all said and done, my biggest problem with the Democrats is that they want government to be our God. And if you're a Christian or anything close to a Christian, that's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
It's for government to be your God. And then you say, well, what do you mean by your government being your God? Well, actually, we're up against a break. Let's talk about that on the other side of the break. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm with Diante Johnson. He's president of the Black Conservative Federation. He's also on the advisory board for Black Voices for Trump. Am I saying it right?
Yes, you are.
For Black Voices for Trump. And I am delighted to have him on the show today. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Wait with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics,
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
and all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events? All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes the show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunnett. Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
New show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there. For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's no surrender ever, because truth is not always pleasant.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette, and my guest this hour is the one and only Diante Johnson. He's the president of the Black Conservative Federation. He's also on the advisory board for Black Voices for Trump, and I'm excited to have him on the show today. Before the break, I was saying to Diante that really those on the left want the government to be our God, and that is the biggest problem that I have with the left. And just a side note before we continue our conversation, Diante, there's a bit of banter going on as to what I have in my coffee mug right now, in my lovely Business Diva coffee mug, which, by the way, if you don't have one, you can order one from one of my sponsors, John Campbell. Just have to throw that in there. And Biz Social Personal Touch, you can order your Business Diva mug from there if you'd like one. It is not Brass Monkey, nor is it a mojito, Amos and John in the Facebook chat. It is actually coffee. I would be being completely dishonest if I said that with the day that I've had, with the week that I've had, I didn't toy with putting something a tad stronger in my cup. But I went with coffee for the sake of the integrity of the show. I went with coffee. So that being said, Diante, I was saying before the break that those on the left really want the government to be our gods, and that's my biggest problem with the agenda on the left, with the platform on the left. They want government's laws to take place of God's laws. They want what they think to be more important than what God thinks. And that's a big problem for me. How do you feel about that? Is that one of the reasons? Go ahead. That's what I was going to say. Is that one of the reasons why you are a conservative in the first place? What were your personal reasons for becoming a conservative?
Well, first reason, I'm a conservative because I have common sense. But of what, and when we talk about like black conservatives, and some people say, what is a black conservative? Why are conservatives black? Or I mean, why are conservatives black? Why are black conservatives? Why are blacks conservative? And one of the things that I always tell people, and I've heard this, and I actually stole it from the Heritage Foundation's president, Kay Coach James, is she said, if someone asked her, what is a black conservative? And she says, a black conservative is someone who dares to believe the teachings of their grandparents.
All right, now, preach on it.
And I thought about that, and that is why I'm a conservative. Now, my grandfather is a card-carrying Democrat, but he's actually more conservative than I am.
Many African Americans are, many black folks are, especially older ones, when you talk to them about what they believe.
Yeah. He's more conservative than I am. He actually, he believes everything that the Republican Party stands for. And I sat down one day and explained it all to him, and he still doesn't get it. But you know, that's just where we are. That is exactly where we are. And we are, that's why I'm conservative, because I believe in limited government. We were talking about, I believe in the First and the Second Amendment. I believe in the protection of life, of all human life, but I believe in common sense regulation. I believe in economic freedom. And to be honest, if you meet anyone who doesn't believe in any of that stuff, you probably think they're crazy.
I was going to say, something wrong with them. Something. Now, my mom is as pro-life as they come. Hopefully she's not listening. I'm telling everybody her age, but she's 73-year-old black woman who is as pro-life as they come. So how are you? I don't understand why we have such a hard time as black conservatives connecting their vote to their beliefs. It's like, okay, you are pro-life politically. Politically speaking, you are pro-life. So when you go into the voting booth, don't you want someone who is also pro-life to represent you? Like, to me, it seems so logical. And I don't, and Katina Person in the Facey Chat says that it's true with her mom. Her values are conservative, but she hates Republicans. Like, I don't understand why we have such a hard time connecting those dots. Actually,
it's all about, it's generational. It's generational. It's something that, a lot of fears. The same. I think I put why blacks don't become conservative, the same reason why a lot of blacks don't become this and so venture out on their own to do something, is because a lot of times they're just afraid to venture out. They're afraid to do.
That's probably true. It's kind of the similar generational things with not going to the doctors unless something is wrong, like preventative medicine and things like that are not very popular in the black culture. And I don't understand. Like, you're wait till your teeth are practically falling out before you go to the dentist. Like, why? Just go.
Exactly.
So it's really.
Yeah, that's what I look at it as.
It is. It's the same thing. And it to me, I find it to be bizarre. So I can't believe we only have 5 minutes left in the show, but we do. So can you tell us a bit about the Black Conservative Federation, and then kind of parlay that into telling us about the most recent movement with Black Voices for Trump and what both of those organizations are doing?
So I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to talk about Black Voices for Trump and then with Black Conservative Federation.
Sure, do what you want. It's your show. Sure. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hey, money talk with Diante. So what happens is this. The Black Voices for Trump is an organization or a coalition of the campaign, official campaign, where we are pretty much stumping for the president. We're supporting the president, but we're also explaining to people why President Trump is fighting, is the choice for them, but also how he's fighting for them. And we're explaining all of his policies, and we're going into communities that have never seen Republicans before, that have never seen anyone from the Trump administration, that have never seen anyone from the Trump campaigns. And what we're doing is we are explaining to them the policies. And so we're the minority arm of the campaign. And we're just explaining to people that, voting is not a one-size-fit-all type deal. You don't just vote Democrat and think that you're going to get everything that you need because you've always been doing it. You have to actually look at the policies and look and see what policies that affect you. Now, one thing that the Black Conservative Federation does is that we support the president and we support other Republican candidates to where we are going out and we're on the field. We are pretty much going out. We're the ones that's knocking the doors. We're the ones that are making the phone calls. We're pretty much taking that apparatus and putting it out into the field and making sure that we have the boots on the ground and the grassroots movement. And so this year we have expanded to 20 state directors around this country, and their job is going to be to push out the grassroots operation on the ground, getting people making phone calls, getting people knocking doors, getting people to go and speak to the neighbors and speak to churches and to help make sure that we're keeping America great. So it takes all of us to come together. And one thing that I've been asking everyone, and I'm going to ask your viewers to do the same, is I'm asking everyone, next year, we're going to ask you to knock 10 doors a week, just 10 doors a week at least 10 doors a week. And I guarantee if we can do that, if everyone commits to that, we're going to make sure that Donald Trump has another 4 years and America's going to be even greater.
And I will say it's great to support President Trump. It's great to support your local candidates with your vote. But I'll tell you, as someone who's worked on one campaign or 2 or 3 campaigns in the same year for the last 10 years or so, that what candidates really need is your help. They need you to knock on those doors. They need you to make those phone calls when the local organization or your county organization reaches out to you and asks you to do that. That is what they really need. They really need the coverage. So I think that
they also need your donations.
That's true. That's that. There's no lies detected. They need your money. They do. They do. I know it feels like they're always asking for money, and they are, and they do need your money. They do. That is not a lie. That is for sure. They do. Speaking of Republicans, will you be supporting brand new Republican Jefferson Van Drew, who happens to be my congressman?
Well, President Trump gave him the seal of approval. So if President Trump says he's a conceived Republican, he's a Republican now, so it's official. But that's just I'm sure he has a book to write, and it's amazing how he's just he's a brand new Republican, but he no one really knew his name but Melanie Collette in the country, and so.
Well, I'll tell you a little story about.
Now he's extremely popular.
Well, I told you the story about before he was in Congress, he was my state senator, and so I've known him for quite some time, and we had a little bit of beef a couple of years ago over an appointment that he wouldn't approve, but but now he's on my team. So I have to.
Look like you've been working. Look like you have. We're going to give you credit for partial credit for him coming over.
Okay, you can do that because now I'm Team Jeff Van Drew. He's a Republican. President Trump says he's a Republican. Long as he keeps that seat, I'm good.
Would you ever thought that you'll be where you are today with him?
No, I'm going to tell you, I was saying to a friend yesterday, I said it was so weird seeing Jeff Van Drew sitting next to Donald Trump. It was very strange. Like I said, because I've known him, for so long, and I've known him to be a Democrat for so long on the local level, and to see him sitting next to President Trump was just bizarre. For me, anyway. It may not have been for other people, but for him to be my congressman and knowing him to be a Democrat. But I will say this about him. Many Republicans would switch over, like do that bullet voting and switch over and vote for him. And I never agreed with that per se, but I understood it. You know what I mean? So it's not a humongous surprise in that regard. That he switched
I'm glad they don't have to switch over anymore.
No, we're not going to do that anymore. We're keeping them.
Awesome.
Well, listen, it's 5:56. We're at the close of the show. Can you tell people how they can reach you if they want to get more information about the Black Conservative Federation or Black Voices for Trump? How can they contact you?
They can key in Black Conservative Federation to Facebook. They can key in Black Voices for Trump to Facebook. Visit us at blackgop.us for the Black Conservative Federation. If you want to get involved, want to donate, visit blackgop.us to our Join the Movement. And then also, if you want to get involved with the Black Voices for Trump, all you have to do is take out your handy-dandy cell phone and text WOKE to 88022. Text WOKE to 88022, and you'll be involved and get to all the emails and the talkers and everything else that comes along with that coalition.
Yep, that is true. I did my text a couple of weeks ago, and now I'm in Lakeland. I did. So that's excellent.
Awesome.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was very informative, very entertaining, and I know that my listeners thoroughly enjoyed it.
No problem. I was just going to watch CNN, but this is even better.
This was a much better use of your time, I'm sure.
It was.
Thank you so much, Diante Johnson. I want to thank all my listeners. If you're listening to this via download, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody in the Facey chat, Katina, Doug, Amos, James, and people who I can't see right now that I may have forgotten. Thank you so much that you got to join me. Oh, thank you, Amos. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sticking around. Thank you, Diante, for being on the show. And remember, everyone, all of this is very important because after all, it's your money. Have a great weekend.